Hi everyone, hope you can hear me. I know this month's a bit hit and miss with some of the speeches today, so if I go quiet, please wave at me or something and I'll speak up. Can I start first by saying that I'm not going to give an introduction about myself and what I do and a kind of CV thing. I'll end with that if that's okay, because that should make sense if I'm following a journey. So I don't want to start with saying what I'm doing now. I want to start at the beginning and end by saying a little bit about what I'm doing now. But before I do that, thank you for the previous speakers. I enjoyed all of your talks. It's so great to see so many friendly faces, people I regard as personal friends in this crowd, as well as activists who I know and respect. Also, please put your hands together again for Angela, because that's the first time she's given a speech. So well done, Angela. So, my name, as Hannah said, is Doug Moore. You can find me on all the regular socials: TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. As I said, I'll reference my kind of animal rights biography near the end. So, on an occasion like this, when we're spending time in memorial of the animals, we had a very powerful speech by Hannah, and put in mind, I'm sure, for each of us, different images and different memories of different animals. When we held that 2 minutes silence, I'm sure we all had pictures of animals that have touched our lives in different ways. So in those moments of silence, they are present in our thoughts, and we remember them and pay tribute to them. So many of you will have had images, I'm sure, of companion animals that you've known throughout your lives, of animals you've seen in vigils, animals you've seen maybe on the road when a truck's gone by and that's stuck in your memory, that's taken them to their eventual ultimate betrayal of death at a slaughterhouse. You may have images of animals being hunted or shot, or animals you've seen in fields, or wildlife, animals you remember from zoos, circuses, use in entertainment, transport and sports. There are all kinds of ways we remember animals. You might just remember footage that we share on We Stand for the Animals and other outreaches, We the Free, Unlistened Voices, whatever. There's all kinds of footage we put out, and some of those images haunt us every day. So you may have been picturing them, or just images you share on social media. So we've all got something in there that we would have pictured, and I hope we can all look back and think, we're sorry, we're trying, and we're going to do our best to change things for these animals. And for those animals that we love and those that are in places like the retreat and other sanctuaries, it's great to also picture those and know that we are making a difference. So for me, what I was picturing during that silence is probably quite different to most people here. As is alluded to in the title of my talk, I started my working life in slaughterhouses. So when I picture animals, I picture victims, my victims. I know the arguments that there are no people doing this without demand for it, but that doesn't alter the feelings I have towards the life I lived previously, the shame and pain I feel as a result of having done that. So when I'm picturing animals who I saw in slaughterhouses, I also was a farmer. I had a chicken farm, and these were broilers. So they lived for just 6 short weeks, and some of the horrific ways they are raised, those images come to my mind as well. So there have been animals in my life throughout my life. They've always been important to me, and that's going to sound odd to someone who's worked in slaughterhouses and as an animal farmer. But I grew up with generally dogs in the house. I used to keep reptiles, which is something Hannah talked about in her talk very importantly, because it's really not a good idea to be rearing, selling and even keeping these kind of animals in any way, shape or form. It leads to incredible suffering, not just to them, but as Hannah said, to the animals that are bred and killed to feed them. So I've had animals in my life, all of my life. What I would say it taught me is quite a lot. It's informed my activism. It's given me a totally different perspective to what I otherwise would have. What I can tell you is that when people talk to me when I'm doing an outreach about how they only eat humane meat or humanely raised dairy or eggs, I can tell you that is bullshit. There is no such thing as a humane way to kill an animal or any being that wants to live. I can explain that in detail. I won't get too specific because I don't want to upset people, but I will relate to you what I often tell people who put that to me when I'm doing outreach. So I've seen many thousands of animals die and been responsible for many thousands of animals' deaths. And I have never seen, with the possible exception of one, which I'll go into later, any animal die anything remotely close to humanely. So the most common ways animals respond to their presence in the slaughterhouse and their imminent death are primarily fear. So you'll see animals cowering, crying, bleating out, or yelping, the kind of thing, all kinds of noises and behaviours you'd associate with fear. That can include freezing as well. The second most common response is flight. So you'll see sheep trying to get away from the guy catching them before he places them upside down on the rack to be stunned. You'll see cows backing away in fear from the captive bolt gun that's about to be pressed against the head. You'll see pigs screaming, literally screaming in panic, and doing their very best to keep away from the slaughterman. Now there is another response you'll get, and it's far more rare. That is the fight response. Just like if your human's about to be attacked or killed, you have the fear, flight and fight response. Just the same with other animals. So the fight response, you might get a cow trying to kick you or butt you. You might get sheep trying to butt you. You might get poultry, chickens or chickens or turkeys trying to peck you. You might get pigs trying to bite you. All kinds of responses. These are very rare. The most common, as I said, are fear or flight, but you will occasionally get them fight. Now the other one I alluded to, the very, very rare occasion where you could potentially say it's close to a humane death, and it's only ever seen in one kind of animal in my experience, and that is a downed dairy cow. So a downed dairy cow, when they come into the slaughterhouse, often cut open with a calf still inside them. The slaughterman will try and save the calf quite often, just to, if it's far enough gone, just to be sent back to the farm and reared the same way if they're a female. But what happens quite often with that cow is you look into her eyes and they are blank. This cow has literally given up. She's not showing any response that you'd expect from the other ones I described. Very, very rare, but I have seen that happen, and it just goes to show just how cruel the dairy industry is. And when people say I don't eat meat, I just eat cheese or ice cream and milk, or even whey in their protein shakes, this is what they're responsible for, and this is being created. I picture those cows when I hear people say that. So apart from the deaths of these animals, which are very horrific and certainly not humane, they are handled atrociously. In order to get an animal to that point of slaughter, they're often not complying, so the slaughterman will have to manhandle them and in order to get them to that place. This is very stressful, very distressing for the animal, and some of the worst behaviours I've seen are where they're rounding up chickens or turkeys to be taken to slaughter, literally picking them up by the leg or wing, flinging them into a crate to be chucked onto a lorry, and at that point of their life, the workers aren't interested in whether or not they are injuring the birds, because they're going to die very soon anyway, and the death is often very horrific. But all this said, I want to give people some hope. My experiences have changed me, and there are different contexts in which you can picture animals. So I don't just picture those animals anymore when I picture animals. If I want to go to a place because I'm feeling very stressed or distressed, I can go to a place and picture it that is far more positive, and that's regarding the kind of stuff that I'm involved with now. So I can now sort of allude to my activism. So for 27 years this July I will have been vegan, and those 27 years, in fact longer, I've been a hunt sab. Ironically, before I was a vegan I was hunt sabbing. So I can picture foxes that I've helped to save, I can picture badgers and other animals that I've helped to save. I've been involved in trap, neuter, release and rehome programs. I've been involved in liberating animals, volunteering at sanctuaries, direct actions, and what I euphemistically refer to, if you see me posting on social media that I've gone litter picking, some people close to me will know exactly what I mean by that. So I'm involved with the National Anti-Snaring Campaign, and I will go out to places where I know there are snares, larceny traps, tully traps and others, and I will litter pick and destroy that litter. And only this week, just a couple of days ago, if you've seen my socials, the first snare I came across as I walked into a wood on the South Downs National Park had a fawn trapped in it. So fortunately I was there at the right time and place, and I was able to check the fawn for injuries, cut the snare and free her so that she could get back to her mother and her family. Unfortunately, when you take deer to vets in my local area, they euthanize them. So it's far better if you can free them if they're not injured or in any way incapacitated. So when I close my eyes and try and deal with those horrific situations, I now can picture corvids that I've released from larceny traps. I can picture deer and others that I've released from snares and other traps, and I can picture ladder traps where I've released birds as well. And there's no better feeling in doing a liberation for me. I've liberated animals that you'd consider domesticated, so sheep, cows, pigs, plenty of poultry. I don't like to call them that really, should say chickens and turkeys. I've liberated other animals as well, but for me there's no better feeling than setting free a wild animal and seeing them go back to their natural habitat. So that's my happy place. If I have to close my eyes and think of a happy place, I just picture a crow flying away, a magpie flying away, a deer running back to her mother, that kind of thing. So for someone who's spent formative years of their working life, working in slaughterhouses, working as a poultry farmer and working as a meat processor, again a euphemism I don't like, I've changed, and so I don't want you to give up. Don't give up on not just the general public when they react to you trying to persuade them that they need to treat animals with justice, but don't give up on those people who are doing the very worst. I still do, I guess, feel shame and pain at what I did, and people say it takes a special kind of psychopath to do that kind of work. I've done it, and I know people who've done it, and I can tell you they're just like me and you, the vast majority of them. Some of them are psychopaths, but the vast majority are just regular people whose eyes are closed and they're dissociated from what they're doing. They can change, and when they do change, my God, can they have a powerful voice, and they can change other people. So please don't give up on them. Don't go celebrating when people who do that kind of job have an injury or something bad happens to them. I understand why people might, but you might as well. If I'd have killed myself during one of my suicidal moments as a consequence of doing this job, lots of people would have celebrated that and said, thank goodness for that, one less animal abuse in the world. But look at me now, 27 years vegan, animal liberator, SAB, doing all kinds of other things. I've recently started doing undercover investigations as well, so I'm doing all sorts of things that I wouldn't have been motivated to do if I hadn't gone on that journey. So that's a message of hope for everyone. I hope I haven't overdone my time. I forgot to set my timer, and I hope that you all took something from what I had to say. If anyone wants to talk to me about what I did and what I'm doing now, come and find me. I'll be around, and thank you everyone.